That's how paranoid I am. And in the middle of it all, she was just sitting there going... She didn't know what a Dalek was, she had no idea, and it's interesting, isn't it? Everyone else was going wild. And actually on set, you'll know which character she was now. There's a bit when Van Statten is, a Dalek is advancing on him, and she's in the background looking. On the first take, she was just looking, and the director, Joe Ahern, said, "Don't you think you look a bit scared?" And she looked at the Dalek and said, "What, of that?" To which the director had an answer immediately. He just said, "It's been killing people!" Oh yeah, got it. Another question, who should I go for? You.
Hi, well this kind of goes out to everyone. I mean, up there.
Oh, okay.
Take off some time.
Who is all of your favorite doctors, Colin, besides yourself?
The F word.
The F word. It's the F word. I always used to say Patrick Troughton because, for me, because he did the thing that you might be sitting here looking at this empty table thinking, why are we here? If Patrick Troughton hadn't done the first regeneration so magnificently. Because, I don't know who had the idea, but somebody thought, oh, Bill Hartnell's not doing it anymore. Oh well, hang on. We could just recast and regenerate. That's the way to do it. And that person should have a huge memorial to them, because I guess they're probably not around anymore. And then they cast Patrick Troughton to do it, who turned out to be a genius and created something different and exciting and charming. And without him, there wouldn't be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, good old Pat for that reason.
Looking at, and the great thing is, because there's been so much publicity about it, we've now got Web of Fear and Enemy of the World back. And I would urge you to go out there and watch it. I know you downloaded it at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I did.
Desperately wanted to see it.
And as I'm publicly shamed myself, that I watched Web of Fear, and it was very early in the morning, so I then had to go and have a shower to, face the world. And I actually sobbed like a child in the shower with the emotional impact of seeing that again. Because I remember seeing it the first time. It was just amazing. You've got to go on iTunes and buy it. I agree with Colin. Patrick Troughton is my favourite Doctor because it's a sort of slight twist on what you said, because he defined the Doctor as he is now. He defined him as the eccentric character who goes around doing good. And that's partly the writers at that time as well, because before that, the Doctor was kind of a grumpy old so-and-so who accidentally got involved in stuff, and his main motivation was to get out of there as soon as possible. Patrick Troughton was very, especially you'll see in The Enemy of the World, that entire story is about him trying to work out whether the double of him, Salamander, is in fact bad. He's got people telling him he's a despot, he's going to take over the world. And the Doctor keeps saying, well, is he bad? I've only got your word for it. I must find out if he's bad before I act against him. Whereas William Hartnell would have been in the TARDIS and off. See the next exciting planet, And I think that, and I've grown to I love all the Doctors. And especially I love all the ones I work with at Big Finish. I knew Colin pretty well beforehand, but the others I didn't know so well. And I've grown to like them all in different ways. And in some ways I feel that I love their performances more when they're a little bit like Patrick Troughton. And I think that's the thing. All the Doctors are a little bit like Patrick Troughton because of the way he defined it.
So he was the original madman in a box?
Yeah, I think so.
I can't react to that, so we'll go to another question, which presumably would be over there. There we go.
Hi, I'm Justin from San Mario. So,
Hello. Hello.
Hello. I recognise your face.
thank you.
Your face or your fez?
That wasn't.
Oh, I saw. Ruined it now. Edit that out.
This is a question that any of you can answer. Peter Capaldi. He's been in 2 episodes, I believe. One he was in Torchwood, and another one he was in Ancient Rome. How's that going to play out, being that he's the new Doctor?
Well, ask that about
He's an actor. He's an actor playing another part. I was in Doctor Who with Peter Davison playing Maxil. As a result of which, John David Turner, in his infinite wisdom and great common sense, asked me to play the part. You just have to accept that actors appear in different things, even in the Doctor Who universe. And there are many actors who play more than one part. So it's a pure coincidence, I think, that only twice have actors been cast who've been in the series before. Because the series has now been on 50 years, you'd be running out of actors who could play it. If you restricted it only to people who've never been in the programme.
Sure, Lopez can do anything with it?
Well, I mean, both Nick and I... Have you worked with Peter Capaldi?
No.
No. Both Nick and I have worked with him. Nick, obviously, on Torchwood. And I produced a play in the West End called The Lady Killers, which he played the lead in. And I'm sure it's okay for me to say that on the opening night, I went into his dressing room, and all around his room, I'd heard he was a bit of a Doctor Who fan. And when people say, oh, he's a bit of a Doctor Who fan, you think, oh, he likes Doctor Who. You don't think he's a big fan. But when I went in there, all across his shelves in his dressing room were Cybermen, TARDISes and Daleks, which all his friends had bought him for opening night presents.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
So he is, and so he knew who Big Finish was.
Well, when I met him on the set of Torchwood, you know, he's an actor I've admired for many years. And by the by, there was a producer I knew back in the 90s, who's actually, his name does slip my mind, but it's when a lot of people were thinking of putting bids in with the BBC about Doctor Who, and his big plan back in the 90s was to have Peter Capaldi as the Doctor. And I remember thinking, oh, that's a good idea. Mind you, he is a bit young, I thought. How things have changed. But when I saw Peter on set, and I kind of started to walk over to him to sort of say, hi, I'm Nick, it's just lovely to, work with you. He turned around, he saw me halfway across the room and stopped me dead, and he said, he saw my hand outstretched to shake his, and he said, you've no need to introduce yourself to me, Nicholas Prince. Oh my God, it's the voice of the dark. He seemed more arrogantly enthusiastic to meet me, which was, it's lovely when someone who's famous does that to you. And I saw him the other day, actually. He was in for makeup and costume tests. I'd probably be fired for telling you that. I was delighted to see. Again, he stopped someone introducing him to me because he said, look, we know each other. So I'm really looking forward to, whenever it might happen, of working with him on the show. I think it's going to be fantastic. I mean, I've had a blast with Matt. Matt's such a lovely guy, and of course, David.
I mean, the interesting thing about Matt Smith, of course, is the fact that we did actually consider him for a role in Big Finish, didn't we?
Yeah. There was a character, a companion from one of the Doctor Who books called Fitz. Yeah, do you know? Yeah. And we did a story called Company of Friends, where the 8th Doctor appeared with he appeared with Mary Shelley and Bernice Summerfield and Izzy from the comic strip and Fitz. And one of the people we considered for the part was Matt Smith.
And why didn't we employ him?
We didn't ask his agent, but he was on the list, and I said, oh, I know, I've seen him, he's really good. I said, he's far too young for the part, though.
Of the companion.
The companion. Yeah. Little did I know. He has this fantastic ancient quality about him. I just want to say, we could go on forever, but you will have to stop us. But anyway, next question.
Okay, you mentioned the comic strip, so my question